Hi, this is Larry Kaye with ShadowAnyone.com and the creator of the Investigator's Ultimate Guide series, which is premium private investigator training from someone who's been there and done that. One of the training guides I have is the Investigator's Ultimate Guide to Surveillance, and that kind of begs the question, when should you use surveillance? When is that the option that you want to take to gain the information you need? The short answer is, really, in my view, it should be the last resort. There are plenty of other ways to figure out a lot of things you're looking to find out or your client's looking to figure out. But there comes a time when you just hit that brick wall or there's no other possibility, and surveillance becomes the answer to you. So a classic example of a bad time to use surveillance, and this should be a red flag if you get this call from a client. It will almost always be from a man, and he will say that he wants you to follow someone, a woman, home after work. And he might have a variety of reasons for that, but as you start to probe and talk to him, come to find out really just what he wants is her home address. Now there's two reasons this is a bad idea. One of them obviously is that cat's some kind of stalker. He's got a problem. You don't want to just be giving out a woman's address to some guy like that. So that right there should scratch him off as a potential client. No matter how badly you need the business, no matter how bad you need a case, that ain't a guy to work for. But the number two thing, think about it, and this relates to when do you use surveillance. There are a lot of really good ways to skip trace and get that person's address without having to do surveillance. So I would suggest using those other methods first, then coming around to surveillance if there's no other possibility. You run into that a lot with things like maybe workers' comp fraud, where you're trying to follow someone to see what kind of physical condition they're in, how they're acting in public, and you've got their real address, but they're just not staying there, and you've got to find them someplace else they are. And another example of that might be when you're process serving and you just can't find the person. They've got a bad address, but you need to serve them. You might not necessarily follow the person you're trying to serve, but you might find the girlfriend, follow her home, and that's where he's staying as well. Those would be two examples of where it'd be possibly a good use of surveillance to get an address. Some guy sleeping on a couch somewhere may not come up with any other source aside from doing a surveillance and following someone there. The caution I have for you in this, when you are doing this professionally, when you're working for yourself, is you'll get a client who starts out asking you for surveillance, and really what they need is something else besides surveillance. They need an address, or they need a place of employment, that type of thing. Charging someone for surveillance and doing surveillance for that person when it's not really necessary, that's a little bit dicey. So kind of think about other ways to get them the real information they need. If they need that person's place of employment, there might be cheaper, more effective ways to get that. Then again, it might just come down to surveillance, following the person to work in the morning. It's your call. Make a good call, but be able to sleep at night knowing that you did the right service for your client at the right price. That means a fair price to you. I'm not talking about going cheap here, but you don't want to charge them $300 or $400 for surveillance when maybe $200 is all that you need to find a place of employment for someone, or maybe to find an address for someone. If you have any questions about this, when to take surveillance, when not, if you had a case or cases that you've turned down, feel free to drop them in the comments. In the meantime, this is Larry Kaye with ShadowAnyone.com. Remember, do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing.